Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm the media intern for the place. Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm the media intern for the Places of Climate Change project with Bangor University. And today I'm joined by Emily-Louise.
Hello.
So I'm the media intern for Places of Climate Change. So within that role, I'm creating short videos. These include topics such as the Welsh language, health and wellbeing of green spaces, and also videos from the content we gathered during our Selling Sustainability workshop. And I've also made a few short videos with does make sense. And we've also made a few short videos to get young voices heard when talking about climate change and their opinion and their tips and where to kind of see and get to know more about climate change.
And yeah, as said before, I'm Emily and I'm a PhD student. I was a part of the Selling Sustainability workshop itself. I was there to kind of walk around, take notes, and kind of pick up on what people were saying in terms of how they were saying it and what mattered to them when it came to selling sustainability and making sure that everybody's voices were heard. On my side of things, within my PhD, I'm looking at the role of Welsh within community action groups. So the Welsh language and being able to talk about sustainability and in the environment within your own native language or your mother tongue is very important, which is the foundation of a lot of my research and moving forward with my actual PhD project. So when this workshop came about and I could take part of it within that type of role, it was of great interest of me. So that was kind of my role of fitting in with this. It's been a while since we've done the workshop when we're recording this. But yeah, what do you remember of it?
So, I remember it being very engaging. Everyone was very engaged and wanted to be heard, but also wanted to listen as well, which was quite refreshing and nice. That everyone, had their chance to kind of talk. And say what mattered to them and
I liked how so we started off the workshop with sort of the employment side of sustainability. So obviously sustainability you can look at it from a multitude of perspectives, but what was quite interesting was that Business Wales was there to kind of outlook what you can do for businesses in a sustainable way. So we had that kind of outlook in the first couple of activities that we did, especially with the Lego one. Yeah. Where a lot of people seemed to, it was, here's a bucket of Lego and just create something. So it was quite interesting to see how everybody's take on that was. A lot of people kind of went down the route of very natural things. So there was a couple of flowers, gardens, things that they remember from home that you could be sustainable with. And then other people went more down the route of almost I don't want to say business mindset, but kind of a bit more of initiative of how to move forward with sustainability and how selling sustainability could happen. So that was quite an interesting way to start off a new workshop, to really kind of break the ice and then do something a bit more fun before having quite open discussions about something so important.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that was quite good.
Yeah, I quite like the when we first got to MSpark, they done a little introduction of their facilities as well, that are open for anyone to book. I thought that was quite nice as well, just to get people to know kind of what is in their local area and the facilities on offer. And then, the Lego icebreaker was really fun and definitely a good icebreaker to get people talking and more comfortable with each other. That probably definitely helped with getting people like talking and open to share their opinions and stuff. So, yeah.
I must admit, I personally didn't know the Little M Spark was in Bangor itself.
No.
So there's a big building over in Anglesey, which feels like almost a co-working space, which is great because if you're a student and you can get over there, or even if you're not, to be honest, it's a really beautiful open building that you can just sit in there and work for the day. It feels quite futuristic, but also you've got the solar panels outside obviously functioning the entire building, so that was quite cool. So to see then like almost a mini version on the high street of Bangor is really odd. But really, again, you could kind of walk past it and not realise it's there, which it's like just a cute little area where you can, they've got hotspot desks, they've got things to be able to print on mugs, you can make t-shirts for going out in, like putting a print on a t-shirt. They had, all sorts of bits and pieces. So then to use the space to hold a workshop was really quite nice because we're kind of bringing the two worlds together. And as you said, they were very kind to offer us a bit more of an explanation of what actually goes on in there. For those who didn't know, was helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
So the activity after that, I suppose, was talking a bit more openly about sustainability, the environment and everything else in between. And like the question of topic was, what does not interest you? With a few examples of like what doesn't work, is being lectured at, is really long pieces of text just not working? Does it not engage you into talking about these things or like being involved with these type of things? And a few good examples kind of came from that, really. We saw a lot of people saying that some things are both oversimplified but not enough information. So this kind of barrier of maybe what we're talking about exactly is never explained fully in a simple manner so that everybody can grasp what it is that we're actually talking about. Now, from like a language point of view, I thought that was quite interesting to make sure that you do understand all of the terminology and all of the like bases of what we mean by certain things. And it's clear that it's not just not happening in like say the Welsh language, but not happening in English either. I don't know if you've like yourself have kind of come across that you're not quite grasping what exactly these people are trying to tell us, whether it's government bodies, whether it's local people, and how that kind of differs in levels. Yeah,
definitely. One key like topic for the what doesn't engage people was the lack of inclusivity in top-down organisations, and that kind of feeds into what you were just saying about it's oversimplified but not explained enough. So they try to simplify it to make it like I guess more accessible, but it doesn't quite give you all the information you really need. Definitely.
There was also like the elements of being told what to do. That was quite a big point that was raised quite a bit as well, that you should be doing this. You, the person just in the middle of this small community, you should be doing all of these things. And realistically, it's not realistic for everybody to do everything.
No.
Because everybody's lives are different, everybody's situation is different. So you could be doing absolutely enough within what you are capable of doing. And that should be encouraged so that people are still doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes you can be made to feel like you're not doing enough, and that like discourages you to even try and do like the small things. And yeah, it should be about encouraging people to do the small things that everyone can do, and just that builds up. But that's not like always shown or appreciated. So yeah.
I was just thinking about this the other day that it's going to go completely off topic. It might be included on, it might not. So we've had some new recycling bins in our local area, which obviously is the whole point of it was to encourage more recycling, so that the recycling bins are being picked up every week. And your general waste bin is being picked up every 4 weeks. Yeah. So you really are then pushed to make sure that you are doing every single possible time that you can recycle, which, absolutely. But we've got the tiered bin system, which I don't know how many people have seen. I do assume that we've got them in Bangor.
Yeah.
Which I personally don't think there's enough room. So where I am, we had 2 big wheelie bins for both of them were different colours from like your general waste, and you could just dump absolutely everything in. All your recycling just fits in these bins, which, okay, it's not sorted, but there was so much more room to be able to recycle.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in that area feel the same. It's like, we're all for wanting to recycle, and we were grateful because we had these 2 huge bins, especially if you've got, so when I first moved in, when we had all these cardboard boxes, they were ideal because you can fold them up and fit them somewhere. Whereas with the bags and the tiered bin system, there just isn't enough room, and they won't take it if it's not in the bin.
Yeah.
So, it's like little things like that. It's like, I absolutely I'm all for doing all the recycling, and I do enjoy kind of just making sure that everything is the way it should be. But I don't like how they've kind of restricted me from doing my little bit, which before I felt so much easier and so much better just being able to do. Whereas it's not as easy now, but
yeah. And one of the topics from the workshop actually was about like inaccessibility, and that kind of relates to that in terms of like where my hometown, we have the big wheelie bins, so one for general waste, one for recycling, one for garden waste, and they go out like alternate weeks.
Yeah.
But here it's every week the recycling bins go out, but they're the tiered ones, so you get a tiny bit of like paper waste, a tiny bit of plastic waste, and a tiny bit of glass waste. And when you're in a house of like, I don't know, 3 to 5 students, that's just not enough.
No.
And then your main bin goes out every 3 weeks here, but even then, 3. I mean, I live in a house of 3 people, but it's still not enough for 3 people. So, not being able to recycle as much as you want to because there's just not enough space, kind of feeds back into that. It's not as accessible really to recycle, even though they're trying to make it simpler, but it's kind of doing the opposite.
Yeah. And, if, again, people can only do so much within their lives. And if that is their bare minimum, but they're still doing something, then it should be encouraged a lot more, I think. And, it's like, as I said, but with a couple of other things that people were saying, in Bangor, you could kind of like walk around quite easily. So you don't necessarily need to take your car everywhere. Yeah. But say somebody who's having to commute in will, if you're not kind of, driving past somebody, then you're driving one person in a car, and that's maybe not a great way to reduce the amount of fumes and such that goes into our atmosphere. But if it's the best way to kind of get around, because you've got to do that to carry on living as well, it's like, so try and do something else so that you are doing still something, but you can't do everything. So that was quite a big part of it, being accessible, being not fed this guilt if you are only doing something little for it, because it's absolutely better than nothing. I think another thing was like, well, I suppose it kind of feeds into this behavior change. And I think that needs to come from the individuals who are within communities or larger cities or organizations, but also from those top people who realistically have all the money in the world to kind of do whatever they want, but are not putting it to any good use. So their behavior also needs to change if they're going to constantly be, you, the middle person, should be doing this, this, and this, and feeding this guilt almost to those who maybe not able to completely finish it and do this and that and the other, should also have a better outlook on it themselves or lead by example, maybe.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Did you have any more points from that? What did not interest you?
No, I don't think so. Just other than with the lack of inclusivity in top-down organisations, that comes back to like people not feeling included in like the conversation and not feeling like heard. But yeah, I think we've spoken about that quite a lot. So.
Cool. So the second activity was what would make you engage, and how would you sell what sustainability is and like how everybody could kind of get involved with it or such. So we did watch a little video where, now the main message realistically was no movement without followers. So unless somebody starts doing something, people aren't going to latch on and help and continue on that and then grow and influence each other. But there was a bit of a debate on that video, which I thought was quite interesting. It was like, well, why did the people closest to the person who was, it was a person dancing on a hill, what I can imagine was a festival or some sort of something. And these random people from afar came over and started dancing with this individual. Whereas the circle or like the people closer to the dancing individual didn't get up and start dancing with them. And that was pointed out quite a bit, that this inner circle wasn't doing anything, but people from afar came over and did it anyway. And
then as soon as the people from afar started joining in, because there was more of a group, and the closer people then started to join in after, which was quite interesting. So yeah.
So I wondered, again, like what I think a lot of the debate kind of moved to was what actually causes all of that, which was definitely a psychology question for another day. But I think what it is like it must attract certain people, or people with the same interest go, yeah, actually I will get involved, and then that slowly influences those who maybe don't quite get it yet, before they then see more of it, understand what's actually going on, and then go, oh, okay, yeah, I'll join in too, or feel a bit more comfortable, I suppose, to do it.
And I guess the more you see people doing the little things, the more you understand, the more you kind of realise how it works. If that, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but trying new things, people aren't always open to trying new things until they see people do it and continue to do it and don't just try it for a few weeks, and then that encourages the people who are a bit more skeptical to try and do their bit as well.
Absolutely. And again, it all keeps going back to those who, if you can only do the little things, that is absolutely fine. You shouldn't be discouraged for not doing something little. At least you're doing something. But what would make you engage? A lot of it was bringing it back to the local people. There was a big sense of the down to top
Yeah.
instead of top down
Yeah.
approach. So a lot of, you know, community working together, you know, what can be done with each individual town, city, village, local area, council. A lot of that kind of came into the kind of conversation that was, and again, was something very, very repetitive. We had a couple of examples on the day as well with a company called Patagonia. So they used to take in their clothing back and stitch things up if anything was broken. So it was like that kind of reuse. Another local company that would do something a bit like that.
Yeah.
So
That goes back to like the grassroots movements and like the long-term sustainability. So yeah, companies like Patagonia who repair stuff like free of charge. So although some things, because I know a lot of people tend to find more sustainable options more expensive, and that's not often like doable for a lot of people. But yeah, the topic around Patagonia was that although it's more expensive to begin with, in the long term, they last for a long time. And then, yeah, if you need it repaired, then they'll repair it. So in the long term, it probably, it works out the same. But yeah, and I think that links to like accessibility as well. And like a lot of people were saying that kind of like encourages them, like how accessible it is and the ease of it. So if it's like we were saying about the recycling and stuff, it's you're still putting your rubbish in a bin, just a different bin. So it's kind of still like it's easy. It's just on your on your doorstep. So yeah,
I think this ease of making things easy should be like at the forefront of any campaign from those top people, or even, to be fair, like I said, like local communities, local councils, because everybody is so busy these days. And if you're not busy with work or kids or something or other, your students who are equally as busy. I know that there's a bit of a stigma of, students don't do anything. But you are busy. And I say this because I've been a student for years, so I know. But, you know, it is the point of absolutely everybody, no matter who you are, is busy. We've all got our own bubbles. So that just making things easy so that we can do it should be, again, the forefront of everything that we do. So, you know, I don't know how to sew up things properly. So if a company's going to do it for the things that I've bought from them, ideal. Yeah. Whereas maybe more wider brands on like the high street probably don't offer that.
No.
So if they break,
they're
going in the bin.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not sustainable.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like the fact that you can just get stuff repaired is often because it's also it goes back to the ease. It's kind of you can just send it back and get it repaired, and then you get the exact same thing that like you've loved and worn for years, without having to like buy a completely new different item. So yeah,
I think what I would like to see is more companies promoting that.
Yeah.
I think, again, it will be a bit more difficult to possibly see the bigger brands push for that. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it would be a bit more of a stretch to kind of want right now, maybe near future. But I think it's looking for those little gems in little places like Bangor or like the local, like say Carnarvon or whatever, just like the smaller areas, like what are the little shops doing, what are the small businesses doing, which, I mean, you know, buying local is great for sustainability as well, because it keeps it in the community, keeps it in the economy, local economy, and such like that. So, you know, it kind of feeds in nicely if smaller local companies are kind of providing stuff like that, or there's a few companies now and small businesses and small communities that offer repair cafes.
Yeah.
So going around with people who can just fix things, whether it's electronics, clothing, anything. You can turn up with a microwave if you like. These people normally know how to kind of sort of fix and repair these type of bits and pieces. So maybe looking out for a local repair cafe. They normally go out and kind of circle maybe once a month.
Yeah.
I think M-Spark.
I was just about to say that M-Spark do a repair cafe. I'm not sure how often, but yeah, finding stuff like that in your local communities is really helpful, because I've got so many like things at home that I thought, I'll repair myself, but I can't. But I could take them to a repair cafe and get them repaired, and then I don't need to buy new clothes. I don't need to get rid of clothes that are perfectly good. I could just need them like sewn a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely like looking out for that in your local areas. It's one of them little things that you can do that contributes towards sustainability.
And also, if you're a student and you can't afford a new microwave,
exactly,
ideal. It's a win-win.
Definitely.
And like I believe these people who kind of offer their services to repair in the repair cafe usually do it for free. Not every single one, so I'm not going to false advertise.
Yeah,
but
sure about that.
a lot of the repair cafes are either, like I said, very cheap to sort of do, or doing it for free. It does depend on kind of which ones you go to and who's about and what the actual thing is.
Yeah.
But it is normally, like I said, a lot cheaper regardless of just buying a new one. Yeah. And how do you get rid of a microwave properly?
Yeah.
You probably have to take it somewhere. And if you're a student and don't have a car and it's not going in the bin,
exactly,
it's the worst.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of one of the main parts of what would get you to engage. Again, this kind of making sure the narrative and the language was right for the message that they're trying to get across. So simple, but explained. So, we need to know exactly what we're talking about, of course, but we don't want the incredibly difficult scientific-y out of this world terminology. We want to be able to comprehend it at a very basic level, but it gives us enough information to then continue the conversation on. Yeah. And that can with like the narrative as well. Let's not make it so negative, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to say that because obviously it's such an important topic, and the outcome of it going wrong or not doing enough is obviously quite a negative thing.
Yeah.
But we don't want to make people, again, don't want to enforce this guilt almost, or using this kind of shock factor to force people into doing everything, because it's not possible. So if we can make the narrative a bit better, a bit more engaging to get involved with, maybe people would do it a bit more naturally anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like highlighting the small wins and like the little things that if more people do them, then they can contribute to quite a lot. Although it doesn't seem like you as one person is doing that much. So yeah.
Being able to speak to the people who can make a difference. It's one of my lines from the sticky notes that we had. So it's not just also receiving these messages or receiving the instruction of what people should be doing. It's if we're working as communities, if we're working as individuals to kind of battle this on our own or together, then we should also have the access to the people who genuinely can do bigger differences than the ones who can only do so much. so I think this was going back to when I was talking about before, that these people, or the sort of higher positions in government as such, would demand or present the problem, present what we, the common folk, should be doing. They could be doing a lot more as well. And now I'm not saying that they're not, but it's not presented that they are doing little, never mind what they could be doing with the amount of money that they have, with the amount of responsibilities they have. They could probably be doing a lot more.
Yeah.
And these are the people that should probably be doing a lot more than us lot. Because we can only do so much. So it does rely on everybody doing something.
Yeah.
So if we have a voice and, are trying our best, we should be able to speak to those people who are able to do even more than us, and kind of bring it to their attention in a positive way as well, being like, look, we're all doing this. Yeah. We would like you to do the same thing, or at least advertise that you're doing the same thing. And like, because again, they've got like the powers to be, say, in creating more policies that could make a difference, or more influence elsewhere, which could make a difference. So if we had the access to speaking to those type of people as well, I think there would be a lot more progression with it. Yeah, definitely. But it all comes down to this kind of change in behaviour as well. That it's not so much of a stigma thing or kind of a negative, dreary thing to kind of talk about. Yeah. That it is something that we can all kind of get behind, and that if we're all doing what we can, then something good will come from it. And I think that's kind of like the most important shift that we kind of came to within this workshop. But yeah, I liked how you started with a lot of people came to talk about it, which is nice, but everybody also came to listen. Yeah. So there was a lot of that sharing ideas, sharing emotion about it. And again, all of these kind of sticky notes going on these big pieces of paper, describing all the things that we've just said. And everyone kind of explaining it a bit more and really getting into a good discussion about all of these things. So yeah, it was a really good day in the workshop itself. Yeah, it was super interesting because there was people from all different kinds of backgrounds and all different walks of life, and naturally everyone has a different perspective on stuff and their own opinion. So it was so nice to hear people listen as well as want to be heard, and so nice to see that everyone felt comfortable enough to share their honest opinion as well. Because obviously, everyone coming from different backgrounds, sometimes it can be a bit intimidating to share your opinion if you don't think people are necessarily going to agree with you or have the same opinion. So it was really refreshing to see people comfortable enough to share their honest opinion, and also listen to everyone else as well. Absolutely. And I think from our points of view, we sort of came into it as interns as well. Yeah. So we had the pleasure to kind of observe and kind of listen to everybody's opinions and kind of engage a little bit where needed to kind of steer some conversations. But to be honest, I didn't get involved very much. No. It was quite nice just listening to what people had to say, and again see the creations that they made with the Lego and how people's brains work when you're asked to talk about or do something. So yeah, would you like to talk a bit more about your intern experience as an undergrad? Yes, sure. So I'm in my third year of my degree. So my degree is in zoology of conservation, which is why the Places of Climate Change project internship really interested me. So I'm the media intern, which was a section
that I don't have much experience in media previously, so I'd wanted to gain experience in it. And yeah, so we kind of got a general email from our like the School of Natural Sciences about all of the internships, and their paid internships, which is always helpful when you're a student. So yeah, just really simple application form, kind of what you're wanting to get out of the project and what you can put into the project. And then I had a really short, nice interview. And then, yeah, got my internship, kind of sat down with the Places of Climate Change project and kind of set out like what they wanted from the internship and kind of what I wanted to contribute as well. And if there's anything that like I felt like was important to talk about, which is always really nice when like you feel like your opinion like matters and you like they want you to be heard. So we just sat down and figured out kind of what topics were really important to all of us, and kind of what can engage young people as well. One of the key topics in the content that I'm making is trying to engage the young people and get young voices heard. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into my internship. And then, yeah, through that, I'm just creating short form content, kind of 1 minute maximum kind of videos that are just informative, but in a casual way. Because if you're trying to engage new people who don't previously have like experience in like climate change or anything like that, like we were saying earlier, if you use like really complicated language and big words, then people aren't going to engage, and they're just going to hear something they don't understand and just scroll on. They're not going to look. So yeah, if you can do it in an engaging way, that's always really helpful, and a simple way and casual. Kind of if you're seeing it on your social media, you think, oh, I'll watch that video, rather than just scroll on. So that's the content that we're aiming to put out, covering a few topics like you mentioned earlier about the Welsh language, and yeah, what that means to people in terms of climate change as well, and then yeah, the health and well-being of green spaces as well, which is quite a relevant topic at the moment, and one that people want to hear about and want to engage with as well. And yeah, being out in green spaces is always nice and makes you feel better anyway. So yeah, so that's kind of my internship.
I will go into my perspective, but I want to jump on the green spaces stuff. So the organizer of the Selling Sustainability workshop is Dr. Sophie Roberts, and she held a green spaces and health and well-being workshop back in January, I believe. And that was open to local organisations. We had somebody from the NHS there, from the local hospitals all across the A55. We had local companies who were interested in, say, their community officers, so those who just typically work within the community, maybe doing activities, seeing what they want, holding assemblies about climate change and stuff like that. A variety of different people came, a couple of teachers as well, actually, and different academics and all sorts. So there was a fair few people there. But again, as you said, it's quite a focused on topic at the moment for environmental, places of climate change, all of that kind of stuff. But this emphasis on mental health, really connecting with something that is so good for everything else, such as the environment, is vital importance. And it was something that I got to sit in for. Again, I'm always there. And it was a very interesting thing, because I mean, I don't know about you, but now that it's getting warmer, the first thing I want to do is either go for a walk or just sit in the garden and have a bit of sun and just be somewhere that's just a bit nicer, not in a room, not in, I don't know, a rather grey kind of looking place. I want to be out there because the sun is now shining. It's now a bit brighter. I just sometimes sit next to the window if I can't get out and just soak up the sun as much as possible for 5 minutes. But going to these nice green areas does just naturally give you a bit of a lift. Yeah. And I don't know, as a student, like just being able to escape from doing studying for 5 minutes and walking in something that's just a bit different, it's just bright, it's nice, it really does give you a lift. So it does do a lot for your mental health, with I think people not realising. Yeah. So connecting, making sure that those sacred places, those places are kept sacred as such, for the environment, but also accessible for those who kind of maybe need it to help. So we were talking to a couple of the medical professions there, and they were saying, hospitals are not exactly happy places. Yeah. They are very stone building-esque, very plain. So maybe having something green outside is just something that would be ideal, but also, again, growing some nice stuff in there, making sure that the local habitats are kind of kept as something for them as well. It all blends in really, really nicely. So yeah, bringing something up like that. And again, that workshop came out and I saw it through the PLOC email, so Places of Climate Change email address. So they sometimes email out what workshops they're hosting, what talks, seminars, and such like that. So it's just a good place to see what's happening if it's something more of your interest. So again, I've not really ever looked at, like I say, academically, I've never looked into mental health. Obviously, I know everybody's mental health is very important, and I try to look after my own. But in terms of like connecting it with something else, or like going in there to do a bit of networking as well for other people who were interested in it, was a really vital experience. And it was like, oh, cool. So that came through a PLOC email. And they do that quite often. They normally hand out what is coming up, who's doing what, if people want to join in, and if there's any funding for certain projects as well. Yeah. So if you wanted to start up your own project, maybe green spaces, mental health, and something else with the environment, there might be a pot of money for you guys. So that's always quite helpful to know as well, because of course you might have all these ideas. Can't fund it. Yeah. So, but in terms of my internship, I'm a postgrad. I'm a first year PhD student. So I found this through an email. I believe it was from the employability email address at Bangor University. Posted out that they needed somebody to kind of come along and do more sort of note-taking of workshops and kind of opening up the discussion a bit more, but also taking down like the sort of almost the academic points, so that we can look at what can other factors do for environment and sustainability. So like we were saying before, that people can only do so much. And if you're doing the little things, that's great. But what can the people do who might be able to do a bit more influence? Like we could potentially write a bit more of a report and get it to people to see further, so that everybody can maybe offer something different. So from an academics point of view, we are looking at what exactly is being said, how is it being said, and what we can do, maybe as a collective of academics, or again through our connections, because when we hold workshops like that, or the workshops like the green space, mental health, health and wellbeing kind of stuff, it brings in different walks of life all the time. So if we're just constantly making those connections and keeping people interested and talking to more people, we can get it a bit further out. Yeah. So that was something that was really important to my internship with this project. And again, paid, happy days. And again, still being a student, whether you're undergrad or postgrad, it's very helpful. And again, it was a really simple process. It was, what could I do? What are my experiences prior with kind of doing the type of things that they were looking for? What then I could bring to it and how I would go about it. Quick little interview, and cracked on with it and came onto the project quite quickly, and got straight involved. So it's, I would really encourage anybody, if you're looking for just an extra bit of money as a student, undergrad or postgrad, there is opportunities for you to do that. And it's just a case of keeping your eye out on emails sometimes. Other times they are advertised on social media as well. So if you keep a look at the Bangor University channels, and again, that includes the employability streams or careers streams as well for the university. It might be more advertised there rather than just the university's main channel. But definitely, if you want a little bit extra money for doing something little, then I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like you mentioned there, it's really good opportunity for networking, because you get people from all different kind of backgrounds working towards the same project, but it's different people's opinions, and it's a different view that you might not necessarily have thought about, or something that could really probably help your project and what you're trying to do. But I agree, internships are super helpful and interesting.
But what I liked as well, that you were saying what you're doing for your internship and what you do in your degree, relatively two different things. You've not done media before, so you've had the opportunity to kind of learn a new skill and do something different there.
Yes, definitely. And it's also a good experience, because it's something that I can then put on my CV, and it could help me broaden my career options in the future. That doesn't make sense. In the future, which is super helpful. And being able to do something like that alongside your degree is really beneficial. So you don't have to take more time after your degree to gain more experience. You already have that experience leading on from your degree. So I found that quite helpful.
I think it's great. I think people underestimate how short 3 years are. So if you can do something whilst you're doing your degree, and with you being a third year student, how have you found that? Because obviously third year is the big scary one. And I know a lot of people obviously want to concentrate on your dissertation and it being your last year, so trying to get everything done in the last little bit. But how did you find then having an internship on top of that?
So first of all, I'm just going to start with saying that in my first year and second year, I wasn't super interested in getting involved in this kind of thing, the internships and stuff. I was I'll just focus on my degree. But then I quickly realised how important experience is, and how if you can manage your time, it is doable, and it's super beneficial for you post degree. So as a third year, I finished my degree now, but I started this internship in I think, end of March. So that was dissertation time. But yeah, as long as you can manage your time properly and set time aside for each thing, it's definitely not too much. As part of the internship, they don't allow you to do more than 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, 10 hours a week is an hour and a half a day or something like that. Or for us anyway, we get Wednesdays off of university, so there's no lectures on Wednesdays. So I just used the Wednesdays as my internship day because I had nothing else to do. So yeah, it's definitely, even towards the end of my third year, it's not unmanageable. And from my experience, the kind of people who run the internships are very understandable with the fact that obviously you're a university student, you're going to have other things to do, and especially in your third year, but even in your second and first year, you're going to have a lot to do. And yeah, also not everyone wants to be working all the time and then doing your degree and then something else. So yeah, everyone's super understanding, and it's quite nice and comforting to know that you can do it at your own pace, and you can kind of just go along with it as you please, really.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So with the postgrad side of things, I feel like we're busy all the time. But again, as is every student. So yeah, I can't do any more than 10 hours realistically on something else. So I don't think I could like commit to a part-time job, say, I don't know, in a cafe or in a shop or something. So doing something a bit more like this where, you know, okay, like we said, Wednesdays is normally quite a good day for students, or, you know, an hour and a half every day. Or if you're going to be doing, say, the workshop that we did, that was 3 hours on a Friday. So I wouldn't have had to think about the rest of the earlier in that week, really, because I could do a bigger chunk at that point. Just do a little bits in preparation for that, or, you know, the week after, start the week off by writing up those notes or something. And your hours go quite quickly within the week when you've only got 10. I think you don't quite realise it. Oh, I've done it. And that's ideal. But I also manage or supervise an intern in her second year right now. So she's obviously finishing her second year and she'll be going into her third year in September. And she was brought onto our project in May time, which obviously exam season. So with the flexibility of an internship as well, you can kind of do it whenever you want. But yeah, I sympathise on the other side of it as well by supervising somebody who's doing an intern. We will, you know, if you've got an exam, you can't do anymore. If you've got to revise, that comes first. And what we've worked with her as well is, as long as you've done the amount of hours for the internship, so it's normally about 80 hours for the project that you're doing. As long as you've completed the 80 hours by the end of your contract, it doesn't really matter when you do them. Because sometimes there's a bit more of a flow with things as well. So luckily in May, there wasn't really much for her to do. Whereas now we're getting into June, July, there's a lot more activity. So she's going to be going off to doing workshops for 3 hours and going here for 4 and doing this for another 3-4 hours and such like that. So they're naturally going to build up now, whereas she's not needed to stress about that whilst she's doing her exams. So on the opposite side, from doing an internship, I feel that, but also supervising an internship, it is a lot more flexible. So you can obviously speak with the person that's running the project, or your employer, or bank or university, or, you know, careers advice and all this, that and the other. They do offer you help in how to talk about these things with the manager of the project, or the director of the project, or whatever, to kind of gauge that as well. Because as you said, you know, we're filming or recording this in June.
Yeah.
And our workshop was back in May.
Yeah, beginning of May. Yeah.
So, so that's how, like how we did something quite for a long time then. We did a couple of hours there. We've done a video since in the middle. So that was a couple of hours there.
Yeah.
And then here is a couple of hours again. So, it is spread out a bit as well. So it doesn't need to all be absolutely need to do 10 hours every single week.
No, definitely. Because I know for like my internship, I will imagine it'd be different for everybody, but mine was from kind of end of March until end of June.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my last exam was on the 17th of May. So then I had half of May and the whole of June where I can say I didn't get many hours done in May and end of April because I had my dissertation and my exams, and then I can just have been able to catch up since because I had that spare time. So yeah, and like you're saying, yeah, the workshops and everything like that, they're super interesting but take up a good chunk of your hours as well. So although it does sound like a lot of hours when you say 80, but when you think about how long you have to do them, and the things you'll be doing in them hours as well, they do get eaten up quite quickly, which is quite nice. So.
But obviously speak to whoever you're working with, because they are all slightly different, but it just depends on the project that you're working on and what realistically can be done, because again, you've been doing a couple of interviews for your videos and such, so availability of the other person might differ. So again, usually the people who are running the project are understandable of everybody's got to be flexible because again, everyone's busy.
Yeah.
I think that might be it.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we know anywhere else where people can go and get things?
No. Could you say if you want to find out more about Place of Climate Change on the bank website?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about what else though.
I think that's about it, because we have said like where we found our interns and stuff
Yeah.
like that as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Nice. So if anyone wants to find out more about the PLOC project, you can visit Places of Climate Change on the Bank University website, and you'll be able to find all the information you need and contact details over there to get involved with that project. So yeah.